Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie, and today I'm talking about my December reads, everything I read in December. It's my last video regarding 2022 books, and I'm so ready to be done. Okay, I'm gonna go chronologically in order of when I read it, and this is the first time I didn't do any reading vlogs in a month, so I'm gonna try to do a better job than usual during this wrap up. First, I read A History of Fear by, oh my god, whatever this guy's name is. It's his debut novel, and I did have the e-arc from NetGalley, so thank you NetGalley. It came out December 6th, and it was kind of interesting how it was set up. So we open up, well, I kind of forget how we open up. Oh god, we're getting off to a great start. I'm pretty sure it's some sort of like journalist talking to us about this case. The case was about a man who was arrested in Scotland, and he was arrested for killing one of his classmates. He went to Edinburgh. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. I feel like I always hear people saying Edinburgh, but it's spelled like Edinburgh. So my Scottish peeps, let me know how you pronounce it. The murderer is from the United States, but he went to the University of Edinburgh, and he was convicted of killing his classmate. He says that the devil made him do it, and so it was really sensationalized. Then he was in prison, obviously, for this crime, and he died in his cell, and he died in a very strange way. It looked like he killed himself, but there were also these weird claw marks that doesn't seem like someone would be able to do to themselves. And so this has been a really weird case in the community because people are like, wait, was it the devil? Was it not the devil? In his cell, he left a manuscript all about his time at the University of Edinburgh and his relationship with this classmate. I do like how we are going through layers here. So we have this article that we're reading, and the narrator of the article has a personality. Then we are delved into a deeper level into this manuscript, and it's really fun because once those chapters are done and we go back to the article, there's also some mixed media in between, like reports from the psychologist at the jail, that sort of thing. And when we get to those moments, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot that we're actually in an article and not in a book. So it was kind of cool in that way. The manuscript itself is about this young man. You learn a lot about his family. His parents are in this weird religious cult. At one point, someone says a cult. And he has this thing, oh my God, I wish I had done a little bit of planning before I sat down to do this, but he has this phobia of the devil. And he has, since he was little, he thinks that the devil has been talking to him and trying to get him to do stuff. And he is petrified and very paranoid just to begin with. He comes across this very suave Scottishman. This Scotsman asks our dude if he will write a manuscript about the devil in Scotland. And so it's almost a layer forward because we're talking about a book within an article, something like that. I don't know. It was trippy in a cool way in that sense. There was a bit of a fever dream quality to this because we go so far down into a rabbit hole of delusions and you can't tell what's real and what's not. And I do really like that in a book. There was a lot of talk about religion though in general, and you know, there are content warnings here for religious trauma and homophobia. So I don't know that I would have picked it up if I knew about that stuff, so keep that in mind because I don't know why I love reading about the devil. I don't know if that's weird, but it's true. And I feel like a lot of those books that I pick up about the devil or has a character of a devil in it, there's really not too much discussion about theology or, you know, God. And I feel like there was a lot more here. And it makes sense because of the background of our character. But again, not my cup of tea. I do think this was really intriguing though, and I like how it was like set up. So I gave this a 3-star, and this is a debut novel. So I definitely will be checking out more from this author because I think there's a lot of potential for things I'm gonna like. Okay, then I was already looking for a new year. So I started reading a couple of my self-improvement books. I used to read self-improvement like it was no one's business. In middle school, I would literally go to the self-help section of my school library. I don't even know why we had one of those. So I reread Better Than Before by Gretchen Rubin, and this is all about making and breaking habits. I know there is some weirdness and even some bad things that come from self-improvement or self-help, but personally, I love reading about habits in particular, and even just listening to this audiobook, I just get so inspired, especially when it comes to like a new year. I also read Atomic Habits by James Clear. These really have the same things to say about it. He says it in a much more concise way, and he focuses a lot on making small changes toward your habit. But overall, I think this is more focused on like big dream energy and maybe work life, while I feel like Gretchen Rubin's Better Than Before really focuses on your daily tiny little things that you do, which I find more fun. Also, I think I've read pretty much every single one of her books. She has a lot of personal anecdotes, not so much in here. And she talks about like her sister and her daughters and her whole family. So I feel invested in this author. But if you just want cut and clear directions, this might be more up your street. Although, just a warning, she talks a lot about eating low carb for some reason, which is weird because I feel like she doesn't go into giving advice so much as like setting up systems. So it was just so weird how much she focuses on that in here. So just keep that in mind. It goes in one ear out the other with me, but if you are conscious about people talking about weight or working out or things like that, you might want to skip any self-help, honestly. Then I reread Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. By Leigh Bardugo, and I listened to the audiobook that I got from my library, and I'm so glad I did because there was a vital piece of information at the end that I completely forgot about. And if you're not aware, the second book in this series comes out, oh my god, this month. Rereading it was interesting because first of all, the atmosphere in this book is next level. And I said that when I first read it before I had a booktube. Rereading it, it's just like, wow, it just feels dark and gloomy and fantastical, but in a midnight sort of way. There is a main mystery in here, and for some reason I remembered every single detail of it, so I was kind of not as engaged this time around, but honestly, the atmosphere itself is worth rereading. And again, I remembered something at the very end. I was like, what? I do not remember that at all. There are some content warnings in here, one of which there's a whole chapter or scene that I completely skipped over because I still remember it from the first time I read this, and it was kind of upsetting. So just check content warnings if that's something you're looking out for. Guys, I'm so low energy today. I'm so sorry. Then I read, gross. Sorry, there was a bug. Then I read The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. I talked a little bit about this in this video. I forget which corner it's in. I wanted to read this because the new movie, this movie, based on this book is coming out soon, and I saw the trailer in it when I went to go watch this movie, which was very good. And I was like, ugh, I need to figure out what's going on. This is a story about a family who goes to a cabin. It's a little girl and her two dads, and the little girl's outside playing with like grasshoppers or something by herself. And this big hulking man comes up to her. He starts talking to her and he's real nice. And then all of a sudden she hears noises and she looks over and there's 3 other people with these weird weapon looking things coming towards them. And so she's like, yo, I gotta go. But the big man says to her real quick, he says, none of what's going to happen is your fault. You haven't done anything wrong, but the 3 of you will have to make some tough decisions. I wish with all my broken heart you didn't have to. As the little girl sprints away to warn her parents, Leonard, the big dude, calls out, your dads won't want to let us in but they have to. We need your help to save the world, please. That's all the back of the book says, and so that's all I'm going to tell you. However, I will tell you that this got way gorier than I was expecting, mostly because I had read The Pallbearers Club by Paul Tremblay earlier this year, and it was hardly gory at all. So yeah, it was almost like I don't even want to see the movie anymore because I'm like, ooh. Just kidding, I'm definitely going to go see the movie. I gave this a 4-star just because Mr. Tremblay makes me fear the most common household items, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I didn't even realize what it was until I read the PS insights from Mr. Paul Tremblay. Something completely went over my head that I did not pick up on at all, which I think is really fun. If you did, oh my god! If you didn't like The Pallbearers Club, but you do like horror, I think you should definitely check this out because, again, this is like more classic horror than this. This happens and takes place over decades of this one man's life, so it's a long haul, it's very slow, and just a hint of horror and creepiness. But this takes place over like a couple days, and it's very high stakes, very fast paced. So yeah. Then I read Legends and Lattes. I absolutely loved it. I gave it a 4.5, and it was everything it promised to be, a cozy fantasy. I think it's marketed as a low stakes fantasy fantasy or something like that. And honestly, because I had heard that so often, I thought it was going to be even lower stakes than it was. Like, there was actual plot. For some reason, I thought it was just going to be like a comfy time of like a day in the life, which I honestly love. But I do love what we got here. So this is about, oh my God, I can't remember anyone's name. I feel like our main character's name started with a V. Let me look it up. I was right. Her name is Viv. And she's an orc. She is a badass bitch. In the very beginning, she's at the very end of some sort of quest and she wins. And then she decides that she wants to go to this small town and sell coffee, which is a thing no one's ever heard of in this small town. And so it was actually quite inspiring for the new year because she had this dream. She took each step at a time and eventually she got what she wants. I do appreciate though that it wasn't like completely successful right away. I like that she had a couple learning moments. I think that's way more realistic, and seeing how characters deal with hardship or even in situations where someone has their expectations high and they are not met, I kind of am very intrigued to see how characters react to that and deal with it. And I just love Viv. I loved every single character in here actually. There's a lot of found family. It definitely makes you want to go to a cafe. And then I ended off the month with another NetGalley book. This one's called Sam by Allegra Goodman, and I think this was my favorite read of the whole month. I really liked this book. It is a coming of age story, very truly. It starts off when our main character Sam is 7 years old and it goes all the way till she's like 19 or 20. And the coolest thing about this book is how the narration matches up with her age in such a genuinely and almost not even noticeable way. So when we start the book, it's very simple language, and I don't know, it wasn't annoying. I know a lot of people don't like books from kids' point of views, but Sam is probably the most unannoying child or teenager there ever was. She's very just kind of straightforward. This is kind of a bummer of a book, but the kind of cool thing that they did is that even though Sam is in some shitty situations, just situations not in her control, her mom has to work 2 jobs to support her and her brother. Her dad is dealing with addiction issues and she and her family are pretty poor. So all of these kind of things that are outside of her control. And it seems like it would be sort of like a victim sort of situation, but it doesn't read like that at all. Like even the parents, while yeah, they're not there for Sam as much as they should be probably, but they have so much love for her. So I like that there is nuance there, that they're not villains. They are really just trying their best. And I kind of appreciated that. All throughout this book, Sam has a hobby of climbing, like bouldering and rock climbing, things like that. We see that all throughout the book. But even if you don't care about climbing, it's still really fun to read about because you see her start and train all throughout her childhood and get better and better and better. And it's obviously like a metaphor for her life. It works so perfectly with her story. I put this in my NetGalley review, I'm just remembering that once I stopped reading it, I was so sad to let Sam go. Like I wanted to keep following her into like her college years, and even when she's older, I felt like the author did such a good job of really attaching us to Sam. So yeah, definitely if you like coming of age stories, check out Sam. It's actually being published today, is the release date, 1/3/2023. Okay, I'm done with 2022. I will see you in the next video. I am working on a vlog right now and I'm so excited. Actually, on the first day of January, I DNF'd a book and I was so sad about it. But now I'm really liking my book I'm reading, so stay tuned. Bye.